Hi everyone. Today's video has 3 points and you're going to want to stick around because the third point is a secret as to the number one mistake that you may be making that's costing you a lot when it comes to self-publishing. So today's topic that we're hitting is, do you make these mistakes? In particular when it comes to self-publishing. So you're looking at getting your book out onto the market and building an audience around your books. But you're making some very big mistakes. Some of them you may not even be aware you're making it. Therefore, you're going to want to stick around because I'm going to hit the exact top mistakes that most self-publishers, just like you, are making so that you can avoid them. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. Hit the subscribe button if you find these videos helpful, because that will tell me I should make more videos as we're racing towards 1,000 subscribers. So thanks a lot to everyone who's already joined the team. And check out below me here in the description and grab a copy of my self-publishing secrets checklist to make sure that you're not skipping any of the steps necessary and some of the secrets to getting your book onto the market and selling. So let's get into it. From my own story, I had low expectation of my books. Now this was actually a positive. Most authors, when you're first getting started, you have very high expectations. After all, your books are of such high quality. Who isn't going to want to consume them and take them in and read your books? The problem is that nobody knows who you are, and so your expectations can mess with your head. I personally did not have this problem because I thought, well, I don't even know if anybody's going to want to buy my books at all. I knew that just because I had a good idea doesn't mean someone's going to want to take the chance to actually buy my books. Kind of like if I were doing something else. Let's say I were producing milk and I went out to the field and milked a cow and then managed to put it into a bottle. Would I really expect that putting it on a shelf in a store that somebody was going to buy that? Or would they think, I don't know what this milk is, Chris Baird milk is exactly all about, and they would just pass on by? And simply by not knowing who I was, I knew that I probably had a low up chance of actually making a lot of sales. Well, at least that's what I thought initially, which was actually not terrible starting it. The thing is, I followed closely an expert in self-publishing's advice on how to go about putting the book together. The problem was that this particular expert was not focused on optimizing the books. Rather, it was more focused on how we simply can get the books put together and done in a quick, orderly fashion and onto the market. And that was a little bit of a downside. But at the positive side, it actually worked. The methods and things that I also teach on this channel are the very things that I learned in those very early days. Now, I'm giving you a lot of additional information to make sure you don't make the huge mistakes that I made, which is more than I received from this expert. But this expert did do me a huge service, which was telling me the basic steps and then helping me to get my book onto the market just by reading it. I don't even think I paid the person more than $1 and was able to work through the process with making an awful lot of mistakes. But the second thing is they got me through the basic steps of self-publishing, as I mentioned. And however, I did hit a point where I could get my book onto the market, but it wasn't making any sales. Well, it was making one here, one there, but I wasn't exactly making a pile of sales. You couldn't exactly write home about the number of sales that were being made. And so I knew something was wrong. And the answer was my number one top mistake, the one above every other mistake. It was that I wasn't connected to an expert or community any longer. I wasn't even connected to a community in the beginning. I saw that there were some communities, but what do I need them for? I can just follow the instructions and get the book onto the market. But that was a huge mistake. So let's get into it. Do you make these mistakes? Number one, are you working too many issues at the same time? I see this all the time, even in the comments here on YouTube, where a person is going through too many steps at the same time, and it's creating a whole bunch of problems for them when it comes to getting the book on. They lose motivation. They realize there's just too many steps, and they're doing them all at the same time. And that's one of the reasons for my coaching students. I tell them, I'm not going to help you with 15 steps in the future. We're going to focus on one step at a time. In fact, even my own business coach tells me the exact same thing. Let's not focus on this or this or this. Let's focus on just the one issue that we can resolve at the moment. And then each 2 weeks when we meet again, we're able to resolve some of our previous issues and move on to new issues. This is how we go about doing things. We're slowly scaling across a lot of different challenges. We're solving them one by one, and then we're repeating the process as we pick up the issues that we didn't solve the previous times. So do not try to do all of the steps at the same time. The reason we even have a secrets checklist below is to make sure that you're not skipping any of these things and you're going one at a time. When we get to the last step, then we can start a new book and start over again on the first step. And we continue the process. Do you understand? I hope that's clear. We're trying, unlike the fake gurus, not to bury you in a lot of knowledge that you're never going to put into action. Rather, we're trying to lighten your load by saying there's only one thing at a time. There's the next step, and that's the one you need to focus on. A little bit of time every day, and if you stick with it long enough, you're going to succeed. And that's just the truth. Number 2, are you optimizing your books to sell? So many people, and this was my major mistake, was that I didn't even know, what do you mean optimizing the books? Well, the fact is not every cover is going to work for you, or your description, or the metadata, or in terms of a lot of the keywords you're using. All of these things come together in order to ensure that your book is getting on the market and is in fact selling. And so you have to figure out, are you actually working to optimize these books that you're going to be putting on the market? And so as we go through the steps, I focus a lot of time on this because the optimized books, they matter as much, if not, usually they matter more than the quality of the book themselves. So how we present the book. So for example, you can have the most amazing food that you've prepared, the meal that is just amazing. But if it looks terrible, nobody's going to want to buy it. You could say, but the food's look is so good. Who's going to even take a chance on it? So you have to first bring the person in to see the food. And in many ways, the way that we experience a lot of the marketing around the food, it impacts the very way we have the overall experience of that food. And the same is true for books. When you have a fantastic cover and a fantastic author's name and a fantastic description, it makes us excited. And when we read the book, we want it to be good. And in a sense, you get this self-fulfilling prophecy where you feel the book is better than it actually may be. Because there's it's the impact of marketing. It's unbelievable. Like a Coca-Cola that's advertised to you as tasting amazingly cold and fantastic. And when you take that first drink, perhaps it does, in fact, taste that way that they're marketing it. But if we advertise it in a different way, like, well, maybe it doesn't have that much carbonation in it. Maybe it's kind of warm, or some other issues with that Coca-Cola that you're getting ready to drink, this can create a problem because the expectations are that it's going to be poor, terrible, and when the person takes a drink, they simply are not satisfied, even though both drinks may be identical. And this is exactly the same for your books. I want to make sure that your readers get the most out of their books, out of your books that they're reading. And the way that they're going to do that is if we take the books and we market them with the correct covers and these sorts of things. We're optimizing the books to sell. Huge mistake. Most authors make this mistake, so do not become one of them. Number 3, and our secret answer or question of the day, it is that, are you going it alone? And I told you this was what I did in the beginning. And the answer is, do you have a community? One way you can get a community is just by leaving comments in YouTube channels. That's one way of doing it, or on Facebook pages. There's a series of ways of going about building a community. And the second thing is, do you have a coach? If you don't, I offer my coaching services. If you don't take, which are, by the way, you money back guaranteed. If you're not happy with our session, you get the money back immediately. So you can check anybody. I haven't ever had anybody ask for the money back, but if you ever did, you would get the money back immediately for any coaching session. So we ensure that you're going to be completely, and there's no risk associated. And the final thing is, are you taking courses in order to help simplify this process? Like, for example, I offer courses, not in everything, but in terms of how to format your book. You can find that below in the description. Also, how to do content marketing for your books. You can also find that one there. And so I previously had done ads courses, but they've changed the ad platform, so I'm going to need to update my ads course. But for the most part, if you're not taking or don't want to take these courses, then take somebody else's courses. I'm not even saying you have to stay with this, but do not go it alone. And these are the powerful things: community, courses, and coaching. All of these things come together to ensure that you're making as many sales for your books as humanly possible. The books are coming on, you're optimizing, you're not making that mistake, and you're not working too many issues at the same time, just one issue at a time as you're plotting through the process, the steps that are listed in my checklist below, and you're going to be able to achieve of getting your book onto the market. Do you need help with that? Just leave comments in YouTube here. I help people on a regular basis with their books, and that costs you absolutely nothing. So let me know where you're at, and I can take you through these steps, even if you have no money to afford even the coaching services that I offer, one-on-one coaching. But if you wish to do it in a public forum, this is a perfect place to do it. I help people all the time with exactly this. But my question for you today is, what is your top mistake in self-publishing that you have made personally, or you think you're making at the current moment? I would love to hear from you, because it will help me produce better videos for you. And check up above me here for more video answers to your self-publishing questions. Thanks.